Welcome back to the Mastering What Matters podcast. Today, I have a super exciting episode for you because this is going to be one of the most helpful and applicable, everything I put out, I strive to be helpful and applicable, but I want this to be so helpful and applicable for you in building your coaching business. Today, I'm taking you behind the scenes of exactly how I built my six-figure health coaching company. And I promise no gatekeeping. I am walking you through the three things that, in retrospect, I was able to focus on to make sure that I was successful, to make sure that my clients re signed, and to make sure that my clients got the best results, which made me get referrals, which really sustained my business for 5 years before I closed it down to do what I am doing now. WholeYOUniversity was my health coaching company where I helped women break the rules in health. There's so many rules that we think we have to do, but I wanted them to create a health life that they love, that fit into their everyday life and all of the things that they loved about their everyday life. And I helped over 150 women lose weight, get stronger, gain confidence, and love the way they lived, all at the exact same time. For 5 years, I kept my business at and above $100,000 a year in revenue, which was far more than I was making in my career before that, right? When I was a teacher, I think I maxed out at like 60K or something like that. I mean, I started at 36K a year, ended up leaving around like 60K, I think. And even in my little stint in the corporate world, I think I only made 55K a year. And when I was coaching, though, I was making over 100K and was honestly, and I was just talking to somebody about this at my husband's birthday party, but there were weeks where I only worked 4 hours a week. And most every work week after my business was up and running, I was working 10 hours or less and getting paid more money. And the thing that was most important to me, though, beyond that, which I did learn to love having that much time off. And now that I'm back in the building phase of a business before it's like up and solidly running with all my systems and processes, I'm back to working a fuller time. Plus, I've picked up YouTube, and that has definitely added time to my plate. But I learned to love only working those 10 hours because it gave me time to read. It gave me time to become more inspired to create content and to feel really aligned with and have good brain space when I did go to actually do the coaching. And more importantly than all of that, if y'all have been around for a while, you know, for me, the biggest thing is that I want to change lives and impact the world to be a better place. And I got to have all of that together, like the best of all the worlds, making enough money that I got to live a life that I wanted, impacting lives so that the world changes and people feel healthier, happier, stronger all the time. Also having time to like do things for myself. Like it was a win, win, win. And so I want to give you the three components that I used and focused on, and honestly are the foundation to having a successful coaching business, and that I've built honestly my entire new program coaches college around, because I believe that in building the foundation of your business you need these three things. They're non-negotiable to me. So the three things are: you the coach, the coaching skills that you have, number two, and then three, the systems and processes that you use. And I want to share with you exactly what each of those look like in my program, WholeYOUniversity, and why these three things made it so successful. And I will also say, out of these three things, all of them are very, very important. And you can't choose just one of these pieces. So if you are listening, well, you are listening. If you are watching, don't skip over any piece. We start with you, the coach, and move into your coaching skills and end with systems and processes very specifically, because your systems and processes, in order to be unique to you so that you are not one of a million in a saturated industry, but you are one of one in your personal industry, need to also be built off of you, the coach, and your beliefs and your experience, which we'll get into, but also your coaching skills and strategies need to then influence your systems and processes and the offer that you have. So all of these things build together and flow into each other. And that third part, the systems and processes, are like a bow that you would just tie over the top to make it all smooth and make it all organized and make it all clear so that when that's all done, that's when you get to work just 10 hours a week or 4 hours a week or however you want to build your offer to do that. So, let's dive in. The first section, you the coach, or I guess here for me is me the coach and what this looks like for WholeYOUniversity and the program that I had. When I first decided to become a coach, it was a total side hustle. I was still teaching when I did that. And it helped me believe in me and helped me be able to get it off the ground in a way that felt safe. It wasn't fight or flight. I still felt supported by my other income. And so that was a place where I really started in building the belief in me. But just because it felt safe and I didn't have this fight or flight in terms of like my income having to be all of a sudden up to what I was making before in order to support me, it doesn't mean that I just instantly had all this safety belief. Because I find that, yes, like that financial security is one part, but a big part of me starting a business and why you can't skip this part is that I had to have enough belief in me that I could show up and do the work and just continue to show up day after day and be resilient in just having a business in general. And one of the things that gave me that feeling of trust for myself that I would show up was the idea that I was a marathoner. And it's like, I remember just thinking, if I can run 40 miles a week and do it with no music and just use my brain to power me to put one foot in front of the other. If I can run a marathon for 3 hours and 45 minutes with no music and just listen to my feet and just tell myself to go forward, go forward, go forward, then I know that I can show up. Like I've done shit that I've had to show up before that I've wanted to do, whether it's hard or not, and been able to follow through. And so that was kind of the first thought that I really had to build in myself because, yes, I might have like financial security, but being an entrepreneur is not just about that. That's one fragment. And being an entrepreneur is about so much. And a larger portion than that security is, I don't know if it's larger, I don't know, but a big piece is that knowingness in yourself that you're going to show up and you're going to continue to show up over and over and over, even when things get hard. And I used to think, I was watching, I am like a runner nerd where I like to watch a marathon. Yes, I would just watch people run for 3 hours. But there was a commentator one time on one of the Olympic marathons. And I remember very specifically, he's like, oh, these runners look like they're in a bit of a rough patch. And I will tell myself that sometimes too. And it's like all of those runners finished the marathon. I have run marathons where I've gotten into a bit of a rough patch. And I've gotten out the other side every single time. Every single time. And so in business, I remind myself of that too. And in the very beginning, I was like, I know there's no way you're not going to have that. So I had to build that belief in myself. And so, yes, I had that piece. I had that financial security, which really helped to say, okay, I'm going to build it while I'm still teaching. And then the next part of belief really had to do with my skills and abilities because I wanted to show up and feel confident that I'd be able to give my clients everything in order to get their results. And in order to have that confidence, I really looked at my personal lived experience. And so, even being a long distance runner, that helped me with my thoughts of resilience and perseverance, but it also really helped me with the science and experience that I would give to and impart on my coaching clients as well. So I was a long distance runner in that, and I was very self-studied when I was doing that. And I studied all about like carbs for endurance, how to build endurance, cardiovascular health, and all of those things. So I knew very intimately from my own experience that I'd be able to provide insight to my clients on those subjects. Same thing. I was a competitive bodybuilder, very, very different than marathon running, but I knew about how to eat to change the shape of your body, how to work out, what weights to lift to change the shape of your body. And so for my clients who wanted to change the shape of their body, I intimately knew that. I knew what it felt like to lose weight and gain weight and your clothes changing and all of these different things. This lived experience was really important to me to be like, oh, I can help people with that because I've experienced it many times on my own with the different seasons of competing and showing. I also did Spartan races. And so, like, really thinking about practical strength. And with people, maybe they don't want to necessarily change the shape of their body, but they're like, I want to be strong enough. I remember some of my favorite client wins was a client who was like, I want to. And she did. And I remember the day she told me, she's like, I held both my kids up to look at the elephant at the zoo, right? To like look over the barrier, the banister, the railing. And those things are so powerful. So my lived experience, even though I don't have kids and I'm not lifting at the same time, I know what it takes to be able to create that in your body from my own personal experience. And that gave me confidence and belief when I knew these things intimately that I would be able to help others with these things. And also, a lot of this, and this will come into play as we talk about wrapping this up with a bow with the third piece of the systems and processes in the end. But while I was bodybuilding, I was very different than the rest of the community, where a lot of bodybuilders, I was like this, we're type A, you track everything, every gram, every ounce that you're intaking, every minute that you sleep, every minute you're doing cardio and things like that. And that part I knew, but I was and was the same. But I was different in the way that um, I liked to, I was still going to weddings. I was still wanting to eat the wedding food. I was still going out to bachelorette parties and drinking and dancing all weekend was part of my life. And so, one of the things that I brought also in my lived experience that I felt really confident about was my ability to like have abs and still party. And that became something that kind of became what I was known for in the health coaching industry was for people who also wanted to do that because I understood them so well, because I intimately did that for years myself. I knew how to help them with that. And then the other place I really leaned on was my experience as a teacher. I knew that in teaching, I could manage 25 to 35, 6 to 9 year old girls and boys. And if I could do that, I was like, you can manage 25 to 35 adults all one on one with all of their different information, remembering their stories, their names, their families, and all of this. And having that experience gave me belief again that I could just do the business, right? All of these things were put together just to know I can. I can show up for my clients. I can run a business and I can keep putting one foot in front of the other because everybody knows that it's hard to be an entrepreneur. It's very different because you have to manage all your own schedules and everything. And all of these things built a belief in me that I just could do it. So that is why it's not, you can't miss this piece. You yourself as the coach is the most important first part. And I'm not going to be silly and lie to you and pretend like, oh, because I had all this belief, I didn't have hard times because, oh my goodness. I remember crying on the floor. Like when I'm stressed out, my favorite thing to do is lay on my back and stare at the ceiling. And I think it's because the ceiling has like nothing on it. It's just plain, there's no stimulation. But there were so many times I would just lay on my back, stare at the ceiling, and I would just cry, just feeling frustrated, trying to figure something out, or feeling like I posted on social media and offered one-on-one coaching and nobody responded and nobody saw it. And, you know, those things feel so big in the moment, but I could fall back on my belief, fall back and know, hey, I have my 30 minutes to cry here. And then remember, you run marathons, you do hard things. You are so strong. Right now, I'm just reminded of I've been watching Downton Abbey, and there's this beautiful scene where Mr. Carson is hugging Marion, and he's like, he's holding her and is just like, you just cry it out. Cry it out. That's what's needed now. Like it makes me feel teary eyed. Cry it out. That's what's needed now. And then soon, tomorrow, he gives her like some time in the future. He's like, you'll be ready to work because you are strong. And it's like, that's what we need. So we need to cry it out, but then we need to remember all of our beliefs. And for me, I love to write things down on paper. It helps me see it. It helps me remind it because when times are hard, it's hard to remember that you are badass. It's hard to remember that you run marathons. It's hard to remember that this could just be a little bad patch, right? And so it's important to have those things scripted out for you. And that's why in Coaches College, when I built this course, that it is the whole first unit where we talk about building belief in you. And because, like I said, it ties into the end, but it's not something that you can miss because you can't go in with just weak thoughts about what it's going to be like. You have to come in with strong thoughts about yourself and belief in yourself in order to have the courage to start and definitely the courage to keep going. So that's the first thing. The second thing that made me successful in WholeYOUniversity was my coaching skills. And I'm just going to be super transparent. Like I said, I don't want to gatekeep anything. And I'm going to be really transparent about how I evolved as a coach. And some of the things make me like cringy. And that's okay because it's part of my story. And just like my lived experience helped me with Whole You, my lived experience has helped me so much with Coaches College and building the program that I am now. So when I first started coaching, I was the Hermione Granger coaching persona. And I have created, so this could be helpful for you, the coach, to understand and self identify your own strengths and your own areas of opportunity. Um, for who you are as a coach and what you need to hone in order to be an even better coach, a highly skilled coach. But I've created four personas for the novice and aspiring coaching persona. They are the Neville, the Hermione Granger, the Luna, and the Lockhart. And I have a whole other series on YouTube about these. So you can go and look at that playlist and you can watch all of these. I've already made the Hermione and Neville. And then after this, I'm going to go back and do the Luna and the Lockhart. But when I first started coaching, I was the Hermione coaching persona. And I guess technically I still am. I'm just a more balanced version because I'm aware of my weaknesses or area of opportunity and I've worked with them. And I will explain that now. But I guess that would make me, well, so the other persona is the more advanced version of the Hermione Granger coach is the Minerva McGonagall, but the more advanced version of that even is the Dumbledore. So I'm just going to toot my own horn and say, yes, I am the Dumbledore now, but I had to go through all of those stages to get where I am. So the Hermione persona is somebody who loves knowledge, loves knowing things. Like I mentioned before, when I was running, I was a massive self study down to reading every book on running so that I can learn and benefit myself. And everything that I dive into, I'm just like books, 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 reading, learn, absorb, absorb, absorb. And I love to have all that knowledge because I love to share it with the world. Like I was a teacher first, I'm a coach now, and now I'm helping other coaches become better coaches with the knowledge that I have gained. And that is my true purpose on the planet. And I find a lot of joy in that. And the challenge that can come for a Hermione persona is that we get a little bit on our pedestal with how much we know. We get a little bit of on our pedestal with wanting to have credit for how much we know. We get a little bit on our pedestal. Like that's just it. It just happens when we know so much because we want to give away our knowledge so much that often what we do is we just tell. We just tell the knowledge. We tell our clients what we want to do because we already know the answer. We already know the answer. We're the Hermiones. We're full of answers. And I honestly think that a lot of coaches are this persona, but they just don't see it as an issue. So I'm going to make this very clear with my own personal experience that, like I said, I'm not going to be embarrassed about it. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my evolution and I'm proud of my ability to share this with you. But I think a lot of coaches are this persona because a lot of coaches go into the world because they're passionate about a topic and they're passionate about helping people. And they're like, all right, all I have to do is know a lot on this topic and then I get to go. But really, this is somebody who doesn't have a ton of the soft skills of coaching to go into it. So when I was very beginning in my coaching practice, I would just like tell people what to do. Somebody would come on as my client. I would do their intake form and I would gather all their information because information's important. I knew that. And then I would have an entire meal plan where they just had to go eat exactly what I told them to eat. I would have a workout plan where they would just work out and do exactly the moves that I told them to do the 5 days a week or whatever it was. I would have the amount of sleep they needed to get every night, the amount of water they needed to drink every day. And I would just give them this check sheet of all the things they need to do. And I would say, go do this. And what I was finding over time when I was very first a coach is that that wasn't very helpful. It didn't offer, in retrospect, I realized that it didn't offer flexibility. It didn't offer for life to get in and for them to understand how to move with life. What if 5 days a week of workout doesn't work for them? It didn't really matter because I just gave them what they needed in order to get those results. And I knew all of that would work. But what really ended up happening is one, I found that people were getting way slower results. They were getting really slow results in the way that like, oh, if they can't work out, my workouts were made for doing 5 days a week, but they only had time to only ever get in two every time. So they weren't getting everything they needed to get the result that they wanted. And it was so much slower to get there, right? Or it made people quit before getting their results. And that was just so frustrating because I was like, no, we're not done yet. And they're like, it's been 3 months and I've lost like maybe 3 pounds, but my goal was to lose 15 pounds. And I gotta go. Like, this is too hard. I'm out. Right. And that was just devastating. But what was even more devastating than that would be the people who were with me for 3 months or however long. I'm just using that as an example, and they maybe lost all of their 15 pounds, but then just because they're still in my world, whether social media or whatever, I saw that they like gained it all back or more after. And like, that's the part that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sharing this with people. But that was the true honest truth of the beginning of coaching, was that in the beginning, just telling my clients what to do was not what they needed. So obviously I had to fix this because I didn't want slow results. I didn't want people to quit without getting the full results, and I wanted people to keep their results forever. That's why I was even in this industry, was to help change people's lives and impact their lives for the future. So what I actually think is really really interesting is that I had this realization like, oh, I'm working with these adults now, but I looked at this as a different experience than in the classroom. In the classroom, I used what I called autonomy-based teaching, right? Inquiry and autonomy-based teaching, where I empower my student to learn and be in charge of their learning. But I wasn't doing that with my clients. And so I had this kind of aha that, oh my goodness, wait, I need to create autonomy based coaching strategies so that my clients will get the best results. And so, what is autonomy based coaching strategies? Autonomy really means self government. It's the ability to do something on your own. And this is really important and powerful for so many different reasons that I'm going to model it with an example below. But when we can do something on our own, not only are we more motivated, but that is also what's going to get our clients lifelong results. Anybody can follow a checklist when I'm with them, but being able to make those decisions and alter your thoughts in a way that helps you understand something more deeply and be able to self-coach and make decisions when you are not with a coach, that's what gives you lifelong results. And I realized that was the goal that I needed. That's what I did with students, and that is also what I want to do with adults. So I had to transfer those skills from the classroom here. And when that came into my brain, I was just like, how did you not start this way? Why did you not start? You already have these skills. You could have started like this, but we all have to learn. So what exactly does it look like to coach in an autonomy based way? In Coaches College, I have an entire unit on this alone. And there are so many different ways, but I'm going to give you the two biggest things. But within those things, we cover how to handle tough conversations. We cover creating positive momentum and motivation. We cover fostering follow through and discipline, and more than that within Coaches College. So this is like the meat of what we do in Coaches College. Well, it's a big chunk of what we do because these are the things that are really going to change the way your clients get results. Autonomy based coaching is really built into the language and presentation of the presentation used in your coaching. So the delivery of your coaching and the way that you deliver your coaching to your client so that it can empower them, the language that you use while you're delivering your coaching and you're conducting a session that empowers them. So it doesn't actually have much to do with the knowledge that the Hermione has. It's how she imparts her knowledge. And even if you're not a Hermione Granger coaching persona, this is still something that all coaching personas need in their own different way. And when I got these strategies down, the thing that was so powerful about it is that I basically was able to develop a coaching session script or flow so that all of my coaching sessions started to flow easily in a way that I was like, oh, there's a pattern here of the way I use my language, the way I deliver my coaching to get my client the best results, to make them the most motivated, to make them feel proud, to make them feel ready. And so I was able to start getting through coaching faster and faster. And this actually was a key component. This autonomy based coaching strategy was a key component in helping me go from one-on-one coaching to group coaching. And that is where also my time, where I started to be able to work less, because instead of having one-on-one calls with 20 people during the week, I was able to have 3 calls with 7 people per call during the week. And then my hours went down, but I was able to shrink the amount of time it took to coach one of my clients through something down so that it could be 15, 20 minutes versus a whole 60 minutes. And then I was able to help more people at one time. So the first thing to focus on, there's two main things that I want you to have right now because we literally just don't have time to go over everything. I mean, if we did, it would be a 12-week course called Coaches College. But the two main things that I want you to focus on first, asking questions. Questions are queen. Questions are queen. Don't forget that ever. Remind yourself over and over and over. So when someone would come in, I want to show you this with an example of my coaching in WholeYOUniversity. In the very beginning of me coaching, let's say I had given somebody that water goal. I was like, I want you to drink 100 ounces of water a day. Here's your goal. Go, right? On that whole sheet where I gave them their meal plan and all of that. When they came back, let's say that they came in and they were like, I did not hit my water goal at all. And so this is how I would have coached them then in the beginning. And this might resonate with you a little bit. I'd say, okay, thank you so much for sharing that with me that you didn't make it. I know that that probably doesn't feel very good to admit that, but I'm really proud of you for sharing because now we get to create a solve for that, figure out a new goal that will make your body feel better and make you feel proud that you get to obtain it. And so I would say we have another week and we can try again. Last week you were aiming for 100 ounces. How about this week we aim for 90 ounces instead? The client would be like, okay, yeah, like I could try that. And then they go out and try it. Now, this sounds really great, and it is great. Like, I acknowledge how they feel. I'm making it a celebration that they brought it up. I'm making them safe so that they're willing to bring mistakes or things that they feel are bad back to me over and over and over, which is really, really important. But what I didn't do was I didn't ask questions. I just told them exactly what I thought they should do. And in order to tell them what I thought they should do, I was making assumptions of what they needed. It is a correct assumption that if someone's not hitting their water goal, that why don't I lower the goal in order to help them reach it easier so that they then can reach that and then build momentum going up and up and up, right? Like I wouldn't make somebody just, if their goal is to run a marathon, I wouldn't be like, okay, go run 26 miles tomorrow. No, we start at 1 and then 3 and then 4 and then 6, right? You build up. So it's the same thing with anything. But what I didn't do is I didn't ask questions. And that meant that I didn't realize the reason why this person wasn't hitting their 100-ounce goal. So let's say that this person was only drinking 40 ounces a day, then even giving them 90 ounces is still not even obtainable. That's still more than double of what they would need. So even asking a question of how much water did you hit would help me make a more informed instruction and decision to give them in order to reach this goal. But it goes even deeper than that. So let me explain and kind of play through what this would look like if you change to asking questions. So they would come in, they say, I didn't hit my goal. They're a little bit bummed, whatever. They're afraid to even tell me. And I say the same thing. Okay, thank you so much for sharing with me that you didn't make it. I know that that probably doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel the best, but we're going to solve that right now so that you are getting to drink water, so you feel physically good in your body and you're hitting your goals. So you feel really proud about the way that you show up. Instead of giving her a new assignment, I would say, tell me more. What do you think made drinking water sticky this week? What got in your way? And I would listen. And so let's say this scenario actually is a real one that came up. They were a nurse and they ended up, I had a lot of nurses when I was in WholeYOUniversity. I think it's because I was a teacher and the scheduling, how it's like so demanding and not your own is kind of similar. So I think that a lot of people saw that in my lived experience that we could relate. But let's say that they answered and said, oh, I'm a nurse. I ended up having long surgeries that I wasn't expecting to have, that I had to be in. So I wasn't able to even go out and get water. And even on that, like, I don't have a time in the day that's like reliable to even have a bathroom break besides lunch. And so it's just not reliable at all. And let's say they also tell you the 40-ounce part, like I was only able to drink 40 ounces a day. Now you have way more information to give an informed and more helpful guidance for your next step. But I still ask questions. I have enough information at this point to actually tell them exactly what to do based on my personal experience and hearing where they are to know exactly where they need to go. But this is the key. I'm still going to ask more questions because in autonomy-based coaching, we want to empower them to answer the question. I promise you, this changes everything. They need to have the answer, not you. So I would ask, well, okay, it sounds like drinking a lot of water while you're at work isn't really making sense. That's not going to work for us. When are other times in the day that drinking water would be easy? And they would be like, oh, yeah, I didn't really think about not drinking water during work. It just, but in the morning or after work, perfect. I keep digging. Then I would keep digging and give a little bit more of my added knowledge and be like, okay, well, I know that if you're going to drink a bunch of water when you get home from work, depending on how soon it is before bedtime, you're going to be waking up in the middle of the night to go pee. And we do not want that for you. You need your beauty rest. You need to recover, especially because you're working out. You're changing the shape of your body. You're making your body feel good. So, what time do you get home? And they're like, oh, I get home by 7. I'm always in bed by 9 because I wake up so early. So, yeah, maybe I don't want to drink water in the evening. Look at them. Look at them. They are saying, oh, maybe I don't want to drink water in the evening. That wouldn't be helpful. So, I should drink it in the morning. So, maybe before I even go to work, should I just drink a whole bottle of water like before I even go to work? And boom, bam, the key. This is why questions are queen. They have solved their own dilemma with your guidance. I could have told her to front load her water in the day. I could have. But when I started coaching this way with autonomy based coaching strategies, I found that my clients were more motivated because they had an aha moment. And there's actually science behind that, that when you have an aha moment, you are more motivated to take actions on it. They were more proud because they figured it out. They felt a sense of pride that felt really great and they felt supported in that. They were more likely to do it simply because it was their idea, right? Versus being told to do something. We just know that's how it works. Your mom's like, clean your room. And you're like, no. But if your partner, your like boyfriend or girlfriend's coming over in high school, of course you're going to clean your room because it's your idea and you want to. It feels important to you. They were also the most benefit from this for my clients. Besides those things, the fourth is that they were able to repeat this questioning strategy with themselves when they were on their own, which meant while we were coaching together, they were getting better, faster results because they were self-coaching all week. And so importantly, when we were done coaching together and they graduated my program, they knew how to do this for the rest of their life. So clients that I've coached 5 years ago, I just got Coaches College, or excuse me, WholeYOUniversity has been closed down for months, like more than 6, 7 months. I had a client message me in December or the beginning of January and say that she has lost 70 pounds because she has kept losing weight, even though the program has closed down, even though she's not getting coaches from me. And it's because of coaching her this way. She is able to continue to coach herself and lose that weight. We as coaches aren't the hero, they are. We are the guide to their journey. We are an assistant along the way. And one of the things that I think is the most important thing that we can do is teach our clients how to think and how to make decisions that benefit them. Because just being able to drink water isn't as impactful as being able to think and make decisions around drinking water. Because also, when they have that, they can apply it to everything else. I could stand on this soapbox forever, but I need to tell you the second part of autonomy based coaching strategies, which is giving choice. This one was so powerful when I was a teacher. And again, I can't believe that I didn't do it right away as a coach. But as a teacher, this solved like every problem. Every kid who didn't want to do something or didn't want to do homework or didn't want to read, giving choice solved everything. And it does with adults and your clients as well. Our clients need to be able to choose. So let's use the water example again. Let's say that the person didn't have anything in their way. They're not a nurse. They have like a flexible schedule. They just sit at their desk, just like I am right now, all day. And they really have the ability to drink water all day. They can take bathroom breaks, right? So let's say that they just felt overwhelmed with their goal of 100 ounces and they are only when we go through that whole conversation, I ask them about, okay, well, how much are you drinking now? And they would say, well, I'm drinking 2 of my water bottles a day, which is about 40 ounces. And I say, okay, how much do you think it's possible for you to drink? Like, could you fit in another bottle? Would that even make sense? Could you fit in a half a water bottle? When they get to choose, they can choose whatever truly fits them, whatever they believe is applicable and like an easy next small challenge for them. So let's say this person says, actually, I think I could probably do a whole other water bottle. When we give choices, something happens that's really important. When you are the person who's all knowing and you ask an open ended question without a choice, like, oh, well, there's like obviously two choices, but you ask open, like, how much do you want to drink? Your client who's not in the know, who's not the knowledgeable person, who's not holding all the facts and not holding all of the experience and being successful is like, I don't know. I could keep drinking 40 ounces. I could drink 100 ounces. I could drink 70 ounces. I could drink 60. Analysis paralysis. There's way too many options. And when we don't know, we often don't know where to step and put our foot. I feel this a lot of times personally, still sometimes with business or certain things that I'm learning that are brand new. I feel like I'm standing and there's a bridge in front of me, but the next two like slats on the wooden bridge are gone. And you are giving your client those slats and giving them one to step on so that the path appears in front of them when we offer them choice. And so they can have that choice and be empowered. And in the same way as offering questions, gather the information with the questions, have them choose and decide, give them choices to help make that choice easier. And so that you can move them in a way that moves forward, right? You wouldn't want them to be like, well, I'm only going to drink 40 ounces again, right? You want to offer them a choice that will be productive for them and move them forward towards getting the result that they want. And so when I started coaching this way with using choice in my coaching strategy, my clients again were more motivated because they were involved in the process. They had ownership, autonomy, self government over the process. It was theirs, not just mine, right? They were more likely to do it again because it was their idea again. They're more likely to drink that third water bottle a day because they chose it. They wanted it, right? They were able then to also use this as a repeatable strategy because this is a way for them to think, a way for them to think and make decisions that they can then use to keep doing this for the rest of their life. When I put in and started using autonomy-based coaching strategies, asking questions and giving choice, my clients got faster, better results, and they kept their results when I was not around. And it solved all of those problems that were really embarrassing for me to admit in the beginning of my coaching. I didn't have clients who were then quitting without results. I didn't have clients who were losing their results once they left my program. My clients got their results and kept their results based on this way of coaching. Isn't that incredible? Two changes you can make to literally change your clients' lives. Wild. So, these things bring me to the third thing that made WholeYOUniversity so successful, and it was my systems and processes. So, basically, what's so important about our systems and our processes? One is that it makes your coaching business run so smoothly. Everything is so clear for you in what you need to do and how you need to show up that it's also so clear for your clients in what they need to do and how they need to show up. And then the bonus is that it's so easy and clean and clear that I can talk about it easily on social media, which invites new people to show up and then know exactly how to follow the path and get results in my program. And when we think about our framework, what's really, really important, and this is where also I believe that a lot of coaches are doing themselves a disservice, is that we all got certified somewhere. I got certified for the AFPA. I have two certifications through them. And it would be so easy. A lot of people get NASM, precision nutrition. And I think even precision nutrition white labels all of their stuff for you, which I'm totally against. Okay, caveat, just in case you're like, oh, just in case that like stabbed you in the heart. I believe they can be used as a tool to get you started, but you are doing yourself a disservice by not creating your own unique framework. When you do that, there are literally like 1.5 million people who have a NASM certification. When everybody's just following that NASM framework, you then become one out of 1.5 million in a saturated market. That's a saturated market. If you have your own unique framework, you become one of one. This is not a saturated market. This is what makes your ideal clients come to you, is you having all of your pieces together in a unique framework so that it matches exactly what you can give and it speaks so well to your ideal client. And so you do that, like I said, these three parts build on each other. You do that starting with your beliefs. So when I talked about in kind of the beginning, some of those beliefs that were built in me in order to make sure I did this, I have beliefs about running. I have beliefs about building your body. I have experience in those things. I have belief that you should be able to take tequila shots if you want to, go to the bar and dance until 3 a.m. if you want to, and still be a healthy person, right? Because those are things that are part of my lived experience. So those things better be in my framework. Those are the things that I'm going to teach so authentically and genuinely. Again, I'm getting on a soapbox, but authentically and genuinely to my clients, and to not include them as a disservice to literally everyone. So, this is important. When my framework was so clear and easy, and after I did that, and I will talk about building the framework, and I kind of got into it a little bit there, but the thing that was really awesome is having a clear framework of what you need to do to get your clients a result also informs the intake forms that you write, informs the applications, because you will know what information you need from your clients as they sign up. It informs your coaching call script. It informs what you talk to them about on a coaching call and the flow that you want to have. And it also informs the actual offer suite and what you want your offer to include. Like, your personal beliefs need to be part of how you actually run your business. Don't just copy every other coach out there. Do what you believe in. This was something that I did also err on, is I felt like I needed to do exactly what my mentor said. And it created a lot of struggle for me because a lot of that wasn't my moral philosophy. A lot of that wasn't my philosophy for the industry also. And so it's really important that you build your framework on that. And even all the way through, like, your framework will build your client journey all the way from start to graduation. So, what do you want a graduation to look like and feel like? And how do you want your clients to exit your program? Your framework creates the backbone for all of those things and makes all of those systems and processes really easy to create and to write, which is why it's a requirement to me in coaches college to do this, because WholeYOUniversity would have not been successful without this. I was actually known by other coaches and everything to have a strong framework. And I was asked by other coaches about my framework and how I built my framework. And I've helped many coaches and service providers do this because it is so important and it is the backbone of your business. So in coaches college, in our third unit, we build your framework, and then you leave with intake forms, applications, coaching call scripts, your exact client journey from start to finish, whether your framework is a pick and choose or a corkscrew or linear or seasonal, whatever it is. Those are the different types that we talk about inside Coaches College. But it's so important to know that, because it informs everything, and not even just informs everything to get my clients the best result and to make it clear and easy for me. When I hired in my business, having a framework was so powerful. When I hired my two success coaches, they actually were both people. One, Shayla, phenomenal. She was my first one. She wasn't a coach, like a trained coach, but she went through WholeYOUniversity and she experienced it, knew my framework, knew my coaching so well based on me showing up clear, that when I hired her, she was able to do it and apply it and coach amazingly. Like, so freaking proud. Georgie, my second one, did have coaching background, but she also went through WholeYOUniversity and was able to learn exactly how I coached and use my framework to coach the booties off the rest of my clients. So in having your own framework and that really clear background, it also makes the scaling part of your business so that you can work less hours and make more money way easier for everyone. And I will also admit this: before I had a clear framework, I did try to hire an assistant coach because I was ready to quit coaching, have 20-hour calls a week. 20 hours of calls a week. And it didn't go well. And not on her part, but I realized I didn't have everything to give her. I expected her to come in and use her coaching skills and just assumed she had them, which she did have skills, but they weren't mine, right? They weren't these autonomy-based skills that are important for me to lead and are what I believe in philosophically in terms of learning and living your life and adjusting your thoughts and making decisions. And so when she came in, she was coaching in a totally different way, and it didn't work because I did not have that clear framework to give her to be like, these are the ways, this is the way that we do this, right? And so that first hire was not a success, but my ones after having my framework were a total success. So how did I build my framework and what was it? I will put it up here if you're watching on the YouTube video so that you can see this. But it was really important to me to use my personal beliefs. So everything that I believed about the health industry and the health and fitness industry, I had to think about all of my beliefs because I wanted my framework to be aligned with them. I wanted to coach people in the way that I thought was morally and philosophically the important part of the industry. It's a very scammy, scary, fear-mongering industry, and I want no part of that. I want my people to be empowered, getting the results, feeling supported, and being part of a community. community. I also used my personal transformation. So everything that I knew about losing weight, changing the shape of my body, getting physically strong, getting visibly strong, all of those things. Also, then I used the best client transformations that I had already had in my one on one coaching and my experience so far before I'd built my framework. And then, of course, the science behind the industry, eating protein, eating vegetables, micronutrients, drinking water, sleep, all that kind of stuff. Had to be in there as well. But the key here is to have nothing more than that. No fluff. We don't need fluff in our programs. More is not more. More is confusion and overwhelm. Less is more. When you are building your framework, it's so important. And the process that I did is I wrote down all of those things and I put it all on sticky notes. And I just had those sticky notes all over my wall. And I was looking at like what of these things are the most important things that people have to do? What of these things are like optional bonus things that people could do, right? What are all the things that were most important for me? What are all the things that have gotten my clients the best results? And I started grouping them and moving them around and taking away anything that was extra. You can see if you're watching on YouTube that I have only a handful of things that my clients need to go through to get all the way to mastery of their health life. We don't want to have so much that they feel like they're going to have to spend 14 years figuring this shit out. We want to be able to get them a fast, quick result that they can understand. And that means it has to be straightforward. It can't be confusing and it can't be overwhelming in order to be part of it. So we take away anything that is extra, optional, not required. And you build your framework on what is required only. So as I was starting to do this and as I was looking at all of these sticky notes on the walls and things like that, and I wonder if I have a picture of me doing this because there was so like, this is what I nerd out about, y'all. Like if y'all just, I could just build frameworks and courses and curriculums with people all day, every day. Or I guess that is what I do. I am currently doing that with people. But like, it is so much fun to think about taking all of your passion, all of your information, all of your knowledge and making it in a way that other people can absorb it and change their lives with it. So truly cool. But tangent, I go on. So when I started looking at this, I realized that there was a linear path that my clients go on and that I went on in order to get the results that I wanted. And so I also, based on like my teaching background, looked at a lot of the knowledge and the skills and strategies as leveled. So just like kind of you do math in first, second, third grade where you're learning addition, then after that, fourth, fifth, whatever, you start to move into multiplication or maybe you start multiplication younger than that. But anyways, so you have to learn addition before you learn multiplication. Otherwise, you won't actually understand multiplication. You'll just memorize it, which I know a lot of like millennials are like, I don't need addition. Yeah, it's because we just memorize times tables. That's not knowing multiplication. That's memorization. But I noticed that there were things in the journey that were like, oh, these are foundational things that they have to know first before they can move on to these. So my framework had foundations, advanced, and mastery. And foundations and advanced were different than mastery, and that mastery was how they took everything they've learned in foundations and advanced and do it without having to track food, gather data, track steps. Like as a health coach, I don't track my steps anymore. I don't need to because I'm in mastery of that. I know how to read how my body feels and to listen to my body to give it what it needs, where I regularly probably still take 7 to like literally 6 to 10K steps every day. I bet my average is at least 8K steps because I know that the way to move my body, I don't have to track it in order to know the signals that my body needs movement or doesn't, etc. And that's what mastery was all about. And so that was really important to me to have this process that my clients would follow. Now, nobody was considered graduated from my program unless they could check every box of my framework off. And in order to check it off, my clients had to do, and this was another part, this came from the beliefs, right? So in creating my framework, I had to look at my beliefs. My beliefs is that we don't need to be 100% on all the time. When I was in the bodybuilding world, like less than 100% was not accepted. I think in the real life, less than 100% is the reality. And so my clients didn't have to do these things 100% of the time, but they had to prove adherence of 80% or more for 3 weeks in order to check it off. Also, the reason why I said 3 weeks is because when I looked at my best client transformations and think about me in the very beginning, how I shared about being the Hermione that just told so much, I noticed that people get really overwhelmed when I just gave them a bunch of stuff all at one time and expected them to do a bunch of stuff for multiple weeks in a row. There's too much overwhelm. So to keep that from happening with my framework, you got no more than 3 mini goals, and you had to complete those things before you moved on and added any other goal, because I wanted those things to get to be a habitual before we added on anything else to not overload my clients. So my personal beliefs and my personal transformation and my client transformations all informed those decisions. And those things also need to be part of your framework, the guidelines in which the framework works. So this was really important because I didn't want to overwhelm my clients. I wanted them to make their habit in order to be successful, and I wanted them to be able to go all the way through. So when you look at my framework, the fastest somebody could go through it, I think, was 3 or 4 months. But most people like to stay in that framework and go through that mastery part in a bunch of different seasons because they want to practice mastery. What is it like in the summer when I'm camping and out on the boat and drinking and all of these different things and barbecuing, right? And then they also want to see, like, oh, well, what is it like during my birthday when I'm going on this birthday celebration? Or what is it like during wedding season? Or what is mastery like during the holidays? Oh, Lordy Lord, I really think if you are a health and fitness coach, you need all of your clients to be with you through the holidays. So whatever you are offering people, make sure they are with you October, November, December, and into January so that they can then understand how mastery looks there. So that was a big piece also of why people like to stay so long, is because they saw the value in that mastery and they saw the value of practicing it with guidance. So I had that alumni program that helped with that. All three of these things are the things that build the absolute base of a successful coaching business. If you have questions on these things, please ask them. You can send me a DM at It's Kayla Jury. If you're watching this on YouTube, put the question in the comments because I want this to be so helpful. No gatekeeping at all for you. If you feel like this is something that you want help with, this is how I built Coaches College. I built it out of all the things that I have found to be necessary, no fluff. Absolutely no extra fluff that you don't need in order to have a successful 6-figure coaching business. It doesn't have to be health. It could be anything. We've had youth empowerment coaches. We've had health coaches, yoga coaches, nutritionists, coaches for artists. We have all sorts of coaches who have come through and been in Coaches College. And so it's for any coach because everybody needs these basics. You have to have the belief in you, a solid, strong belief in your ability to be an entrepreneur, to maintain, and then also your personal experience to inform your framework, right? You need the coaching strategies. You need to be able to handle tough conversations, to be able to create empowerment in your clients with autonomy-based coaching strategies with questions and choice like we talked about today, but then also foster follow through and create positive momentum to keep them going longer. And to build community on top of that. You need to be able to tie all of this up into a bow to have your systems and processes so your business is easy for you to run, it's easy for your clients to follow, and it's easy for you to talk about in your marketing. I really don't think any of these things are optional at all, which is why I wanted to make you this episode. And we are opening up Coaches College for our next round. And so if you are interested in getting help with this, at the time of this airing, Coaches College will be opening for waitlists and people with bonuses. So there are over $2,000 worth of bonuses up for grabs if you join Coaches College by February 9th. February 10th is when open enrollment happens without the bonuses, and enrollment will stay open until February 14th, Valentine's Day, and we will kick off February 17th. If you need help with these things, send me a DM, send me an email, write a comment, and I want to get you into Coaches College because more than anything, I know that you are a passionate, knowledgeable person who can change the world, and we need to get you set up with all the things you need to make that happen. That is my mission for myself and my mission for you and my mission for this world, because right now, y'all, we need to make it a better place.